The debut album from Perth's own Cross-Eyed Lover was released in March of this year. The album, Blonde Zombie, has received strong reviews across the world, with the UK magazine Power Play awarding the album a 10 out of 10 rating. The album itself contains tracks that could have come out of the golden era of Australian pub rock, or even LA's own Sunset Strip. Tonight, in the latest interview for Rockhouse Mag, it's my pleasure to introduce Jason Rigoli and Sal Truscello from the band Cross-Eyed Lover. Welcome to the Rockhouse, guys. How are we going?
Hey, thanks, Jock. All good.
Yeah, g'day. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problems at all. So how's it all going, guys?
Oh, we're having a great time. It's just good fun. Like, it's been a good 12 months of getting the album out there, and we're really excited about where things are heading and what sort of happened so far. So yeah, really good.
Yeah, fantastic. Before we get on to the album, I'd really love to talk more about your debut, Blonde Zombie. But really what I want to have a chat about first is your influences. You know, what has been your background in music, and who really inspired you? Jason, in your way, who inspired you to pick up the drumsticks, and Sal, who inspired you to pick up the guitar?
Yeah, well, for me, I have an older brother who's same age as Sal, and that's how I got to know Sal. And so at an early age, when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I mean, he was pushing his teenage years, my brother. Yep. He was exposing me to music of, AC/DC, Skid Row, Trickster, Kicks, Twisted Sister, Ozzy Osbourne, etc., etc. So in regards to drummers, Randy Castile from Ozzy Osbourne, Lars Ulrich, a massive influence on me, and one of my favourite drummers, Eric Singer from Kiss, and Eric Carr, Tommy Lee, Alex Van Halen. So all the bands that I grew up listening to, or that my brother listened to, which I was exposed to from a young age, is pretty much the drummers that I loved. And when you see Tommy Lee spinning, was it on the Wild Side film clip? I mean, at a young age, I mean, you just look and wow. So yeah, they're the bands that I kind of and drummers that I was inspired by.
Yeah, Tommy Lee, definitely. He was pretty much a forerunner in terms of drummers who could entertain as well, wasn't
he? Exactly.
Yeah. How about yourself, Sal? Who inspired you to pick up that guitar?
Well, I got my parents to thank, really. I'm not sure why, but they sort of thought that it would be good for me to learn an instrument. And it just so happened that Don Mariani from the Stems was married to a woman that lived around the corner from us, and we knew the family. So off I went to his house for some guitar lessons. So he actually got me. I got him to thank for getting me started. But my cousin was a drummer. He was into Kiss. And I think just, and my next sibling's 10 years older than me. So I really got exposed to, I suppose, the Countdown era, maybe showing my age a bit here, but all that early Oz rock pop stuff, I've got, really strong memories from a really young age, and shows like Beatbox and Countdown. So that's kind of where it started. Kind of got onto AC/DC too once I started high school, and that was really the thing for me. I had a friend that was playing lead guitar, so I really thought rhythm guitar was my thing, and so I really got into Malcolm Young and that side of things. It kind of went from there, but all that kind of 80s scene, and then Gunners and all that kind of stuff. Ozzy Osbourne, really love, but the Aussie rock stuff especially, Rose Tattoo, the Angels, all those classic Aussie bands, really sort of got me interested in guitar-based kind of music. And then grunge in the 90s, like everyone else, I sort of got caught up in that too. Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, still my favourite bands today. So they're kind of really the blueprint, I suppose. But but that 80s stuff especially, I suppose my formative years, really influenced my tastes and musical, I suppose, guitar style.
It's fantastic. Look, there's some classic names there, and those influences really come out in the album. You guys have been in the industry for quite some time, albeit this is the first CD that you've both recorded. What kept you busy before forming Cross-Eyed Lover?
We're in a cover band. Jason and I played in a cover band for lots of years that kind of kept us engaged in that process, musical process. But like in between, I suppose when we were learning songs, we'd have these gaps at the rehearsal studio, and that's for some of these riffs we'd kind of play in the break time about, let's do some original stuff. That's kind of where it kind of started, but that's what kept us busy.
Nice. So the band started out of you in between and having those gaps, playing your own originals. So what was the big decision? What made you go from being a cover band into this fantastic band in Cross-Eyed Lover?
With the cover band, we finished 2011, 2012, and Sal and myself caught up probably around 4 or 5 years later. I mean, we've always been friends and caught up, but musically it'd been some time. And Sal started a new tribute act, and we had planned to catch up, and we caught up, and I was kind of helping him. I was drumming so he could get his guitar playing up to, where he wanted it to be. And probably after the second, third time we caught up, I kind of suggested, rather than play, Def Leppard tracks and our favourite cover tracks, let's write a song, kind of going back to remembering the riffs he had back in our cover day.
Yeah, sure.
Cover band days. So that's where it started. And then, every 4 to 8 weeks we'll catch up, and we would just write a song. There wasn't a plan though. Like, we hadn't planned to write an album. It was just, we would just catch up more socially. It was just more to catch up and have a jam because we enjoyed it. And it was probably a year after where we kind of found, I suppose, our mojo, where we had that chat and said, okay, we've got all this music. We've got, after a year we had up to 12 songs. I think it's time we need a singer, we need a bass player, and let's, take it next level.
So Andy Smith, who does provide the vocals on the album, and Simon White on bass, how did you find them? What was the selection process for these guys to join the band?
I was really fortunate. So Jason mentioned that I played a tribute band. So a friend of mine does a Def Leppard tribute, a Bon Jovi tribute. So I play in the Def Leppard part of it, and Andy sings for that group, and Simon plays bass for both of those groups. So I met both of them through that project, and discovered that Andy had quite a history of writing his own music and, doing some really cool things. He'd been in America and all that kind of stuff. So I just had, he reminded me last night, the night before, that, really just asked him. So Blonde Zombie was really the first one. And I said, would you mind having listened to this and maybe putting some lyrics to it? And he kindly said, yeah, no problem. I'll do that. And then, 11 songs later, we've got an album. But yeah, that's how they got involved. So we're really lucky to have those guys. And Simon's, I consider him a world-class bass player. He's fantastic, fantastic muso. So yeah, that's how they got involved.
Fantastic. Some of Andy's lyrics are unbelievable as well. He really sets the tone during the album, but it's so diverse, his writing style. It can be an atmospheric lyric, or even, a classic rock style lyric. So, very, very blessed to have Andy in the band. The CD was released earlier this year. What's the reaction been so far?
It's been really positive. We didn't know what to expect. When you're writing and you're recording and you release it, to us it sounded good, but being that it belongs to us and it's us, sometimes you have those blinkers on, you're not seeing anything else. So when we sent it out and, hoping for a little bit of reaction, we got a lot more of a reaction than what we expected. And it's all been really positive, here locally in WA and East Coast of Australia, but overseas as well. We received, surprisingly to us, some great feedback, like you said earlier with, Power Zone magazine, when they gave us 10, it was kind of like, huh?
Yeah. How does that feel?
Kind of thing. It was, but so that's
how
been.
Did that feel, getting that review and seeing a 10 out of 10 there? You guys would have been over the moon.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, you kind of think, well, there's some pretty good albums out there. I'm not sure how many 10s there are out there. And I suppose, again, like Jason says, when you're looking at your own stuff, it's kind of difficult, almost not disbelief, but, we're happy with it and we really like it. So, but I think the thing is, I suppose it really confirms to us that it appeals to other people too. And having a 10, I think, it certainly blew us away. We're kind of thinking, what's the catch here? But no catch. It's just, they liked it and gave us a 10. So it's fantastic. And we're really happy that there's other people, on the other side of the globe that are enjoying it. So, yeah.
Yeah, just looking at some of the stats, it's getting a lot of airplay in Italy, the Philippines, but you also appeared on UK radio over the weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. We've been England, the UK. We've received some great feedback in reviews, but also radio. And obviously, there's a lot of options overseas when it comes to all these local radio stations. And it surprised me and surprised us when we were, searching for these stations to possibly send to. And so we've had a number of radio stations in the UK players, and the US and Canada and Spain and Germany, and it's definitely surprised us.
That's fantastic. Before we head on to the album, for the fans out there, where can I get a copy of the CD, or where can I find the music?
Our Bandcamp page is up, so you look up Cross-Eyed Lover on Bandcamp. The CD's there, or they can message us directly through our Cross-Eyed Lover Facebook page messenger there. So if they just flick us a message, we can arrange to get a copy of the CD out to them. But it's on the streaming platforms too. But if you want a hard copy CD with a gatefold and some pictures, like good old school rock and roll, then CD's the way to go. Contact us directly or via the Bandcamp page, you'll find it.
Fantastic. Any plans with vinyl?
We're in discussions at the moment with a guy in Melbourne, and hopefully we'll have that sorted very soon, because that's something we do want. It's just working out how it's going to look, how many we're going to buy, etc.
There's also some stuff with I suppose the length of the album. Well, it doesn't seem that long, but this particular company, it's difficult to fit it on one LP, so it may be double, but that appeals to us too, having the old double LP. So we're just trying to work out some of those logistical matters, but we're keen to. There'll definitely be a vinyl version of it, so we'll keep our fans informed as it comes out.
Fantastic. I will be trawling your Facebook page to make sure that comes to fruition, guys. All right, let's have a look at the album itself. The album kicks off with a title track, and it was also your lead single, Blonde Zombie. The guitar intro to that really sets the scene for the whole album, I believe. But again, the lyrics: no class, no charm, no humility, no substance, no style, no personality. What's the inspiration behind those words?
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't Jason and I. Hopefully it was someone else. Andy tells a story. Andy tells a story of, I think he was watching some sort of program, some sort of talk show, and there were some daughters of some famous people, and I think he wasn't saying that they were stupid or anything like that, just more that he kind of got this impression that they just were really there because of who they were, not that they were really offering anything or any substance to humanity, to the world. So, and he was kind of questioning why there's this, I suppose, fame and this attraction to people that may not necessarily be doing anything productive, anything any good for the world. I think that's kind of where it came from, and maybe they may have happened to have blonde hair, I don't know, and I don't know who they were in particular, but that's kind of the story that he tells us. So a couple of girls on TV that weren't really offering too much in way of insight to things.
That's a good analogy. Maybe we should leave it there.
Yeah.
Family-friendly interview. The second track, Break the Machine. Just hearing you guys earlier in the interview, how you approached your songwriting, it's very clear through this song with the guitar and drum intro. And to me, it was very, very reminiscent of the classic metal bands, probably from the 70s and 80s. Even the chorus, which has got that huge anthem in it, a very strong track. How did this come together?
Well, it starts with Sal and myself. We catch up in a rehearsal room, and it always pretty much starts with a riff. So Sal will bring in a riff, could be like a 5-second riff, and we build from that. once we establish what we're going to do with that riff, if it's going to be a verse or a chorus, etc., we start building around that. And that one there, I can't really remember. I remember the day doing it. I don't know what the inspiration behind it was. I think we just go with feel, and we go with our gut. With, sometimes it's, we try halftime with a riff, or we try different types of tempos with the riff. But that one there came pretty quick. It was kind of, I think we had like Buck Cherry in our minds, I think, by memory. That kind of like, that lit up kind of feel, where it's just a simple drum, and it's just all guitar riff driven. And that's how I remember it.
Yeah, I had that drop D riff. I think was just kind of like a loop. So I was when that sort of playing that over and over again. And I think from the intro perspective too, he might have thought a bit about like some of those classic bands like that kind of have, there's a bit of a story before the song actually starts. And so this drum, this build up. So that's, kind of the inspiration there was kind of having this thing where it sort of built up in this crescendo and then, into the song. But the main riff was kind of, it was just kind of that drop D kind of driving kind of guitar riff. That's kind of was really the bedrock of that song. And then it built from there. That Andy had the working title. And so just sort of built on it from there, lyrics wise.
I do recall that intro we did at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think we felt that we needed something at the end to kind of build up and then, go into that riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Classic track. The album then moves on to your second single, What You Got to Do About It. It's a bit more faster paced, and to me it channeled that Sunset Strip feel. What's the meaning behind this song?
Do you want me to tell the story, Jay, or you want to? Yeah, well, funnily enough, I think, from talking to Andy, this was a swimming pool rage. Not that he's got a saying wasn't really particularly, although the words might suggest he was like picking a fight, but I was just really more of like, stop hassling me, what you're going to do about it. But I think he was trying to do some laps in a pool, to be perfectly honest, and some guys were chatting instead of swimming, sort of holding him up, and I think he kind of asked them politely to either swim or get out the pool and have their chat, and they kind of answered him back, and he kind of told them, kind of said, F you, and they had a little bit of an exchange. But I think it's that I think that's a specific story around that, but it's kind of you might not be really happy with what's going on here, but what are you going to do about it, sort of thing. So that's kind of that side of it. And musically, I think it was just kind of fast paced. I think I was listening to some Electric Mary and some of their sort of stuff. There was some faster paced stuff there. So that kind of inspired me musically with that one.
It started a bit slower too, that song. We actually had a slower tempo. And then as we kind of played it, kept playing that song, it crept up to the stage, or to the tempo that it is today.
Yeah, and Simon's bass, I think, sets a bit of a tone too, because he kind of got the track, obviously, with no bass, and he came back. He kind of walks around a bit if you're listening to it. So, between his walking bass and quick bass and that driving guitar, that's kind of it's kind of full on the whole way through. So, it's
it's a fantastic track. We then move into Ain't It a Shame, and it's a real tempo change as well, and creates almost an atmospheric feeling. I think the opening verse on there is "Cast the shadows so dark," and it's really a credit to Andy's songwriting that he can go from a swimming pool fiasco to atmospheric type.
Yeah, and I don't know the story behind this one, but I agree it's a little bit different. Even musically, it's a little bit different, and maybe. I was talking a bit about that sort of that grunge side of things, and that kind of some of that open guitar lines. I think that Stone Temple Pilots Unplugged set they did. That's kind of what I had in my head, but it was kind of a mashup of two riffs. But it's certainly a kind of slightly different feel to the rest of the album.
I think the good thing or the great thing about that song, when we had the music, you kind of picture where's this going to go. And when Andy came back with the lyrics and the melody and sang it for the first time, it surprised us as well, because we thought it may have gone somewhere else. So to have his vocal in that manner, but the guitars and drums are still, we're still kind of pushing and it's still punchy. And that I don't know, gives a little bit of light and shade. You've got a vocal which is kind of melodic and nice, but you've still got the guitar and drums that have got that little bit of heaviness. And, you know, I know drumming wise, I'm kind of, you know, pushing that tempo a little bit too.
Definitely. We then move into the song Two's Good. To me, as soon as that come on, I just thought that Doc Nason and the boys were in the background.
Yeah, well, this is the ballad of the album, really.
It's a ballad, but it's quite a good one, by the way.
Yeah, I said to Jay, I wouldn't mind doing something, you know, a little bit slower pace, more of a bit of a blues groove. So that's kind of where that started. But yeah, that's kind of She's Got Balls from AC/DC's first album. You know, the Rose Tattoo stuff and the Angels. Yeah, it's kind of all kind of, it's a bit of all those influences are there with that one for sure. And Andy's there with his with his double entendre lyrics with that too. So it sort of really surprised the two. Again, it kind of, you know, again, you've got a picture in your head of what you think it might sound like, and you've got, but then again, it just kind of evolved, and then you get something else at the end. So we're really happy with that one.
It's awesome. We then move into Back in the Game, and the media reviews on this were, this song is just pure kicks. Again, your inspiration behind this song. But before you tell me that, I just want to emphasize on how tight the band sound on this. We spoke about Simon's bass playing and how exceptional he is. We've spoken about Andy and his vocal ability and songwriting. But as a unit, this song really emphasized to me what Cross-Eyed Love is all about. It's just so tight.
I think it's pretty much us, because it kind of our influences definitely come out of this song, or come out of this song. It's you got that Gunners feel. I remember this song, for me, it felt like playing Gunners. It had that kind of feel to it. It kind of suits what we like. We like that mid to up tempo kind of range. Music where it's punching and it, like toe tapping kind of music. And I think the riff, the riff that Sal came up with is great, and kind of, really kicks off that song really well. Yeah,
and a real awesome song as well. But then we move into Jumpstart Baby, and if you thought you got the slap in the face with Back in the Game, Jumpstart Baby hits the stereo, and you just go, wow. And this has got to be the crowd pleaser of the album, I think, at the end of the night, when the beers are flowing and you just play this unbelievable.
Yeah, I find myself air drumming to this quite often, even though I've heard it a gazillion times.
Just thought it was only me that did the air drumming to this.
We really, and it's funny because I think at first I was a bit 50-50 on it when we first started writing on it. I think I was struggling that night, from memory, and I was kind of doing this little riff thing, but I kind of felt like I was being a bit lazy with it. I don't know why, but again, it just kind of evolves. But the drum sound particularly is really fat, and then again, Andy's vocal, like he hits some kind of high notes in there. It's pretty strong.
And then you got that thickness from Simon as well. That that thickness and that driving kind of bass as well. It provides that heaviness and that kind of drive that song needs.
Most definitely.
Also inspired by one of Sal's favourite bands as well, which I'm saying that because we've got this running joke that every interview or that.
I'm on the payroll for Horsehead, so I don't know if you've heard of a band called Horsehead, Jock, but a band from the 90s. That song, Paint Me Grey, and that riff's kind of influenced by that. I love Horsehead, and any chance I get to talk about them, I will, but I won't waste our time too much tonight. But, I just love them so much. I still listen to them all the time. So yeah, that was my tribute to them in some sense. Parts of it, not the whole lot.
Fantastic. Horsehead, if you are watching, I'd love to have you on with these guys so we can talk about Sal's love of you. Let's make that dream a reality. We then move into Gotta Get Out, and just looking at Andy's vocals again, Pure Heaven or Take Me to Hell, not somewhere in between. What was he thinking here? And it's something that just makes you sit back and go, whoa, what's going on?
who knows? I think, yeah, it sounds like he was at, maybe at a bit of a crossroads, and maybe feeling a bit kind of stuck, and I think that's the thing. And I suppose, I'm just guessing here. I haven't actually asked him, but I said he's done some pretty good things. Like he's gone overseas and done bits and pieces, and then to come back to Perth. And he just loves his music, and he just loves the whole process. So it kind of sounds like, yeah, he's kind of at a point where he might feel a bit stuck or not really sure which way to go. But yeah, certainly diving deep into his soul there with some thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. But also your guitar playing on that, Sal. This has got to be the guitar lovers track off the album, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's kind of, I think at the time, from memory, I was really looking at sometimes Slash, he kind of gets on a roll with a riff. It's not just chords, he's kind of doing this kind of stuff. And I was trying to channel that, not that I'm anywhere near the vicinity of Slash, but that's kind of where I was kind of heading a little bit with that kind of, that picking. And it's kind of got a bit of a disco feel. I don't know, but it's actually one of my favourite songs. I just really like
that night we were really happy with that. And I think, and it did actually have that intro was kind of, I remember that intro, I had that Slash thought. Remember that idea with the offbeat to start off with, then going straight. And then I remember that bridge part, we were thinking of Playing with Girls from Fly on the Wall. AC/DC. It was kind of, and there's a little bit of inspiration though in that, little bits and pieces that we got from, bands that we like.
Yeah, and I think the chorus, I suppose, it's really kind of, he's really putting it out there. It's quite a powerful chorus, I think, and Andy really steps up there.
Yeah, most definitely. But then you talk about your musical inspirations, but I think they really come out with the next track, Gutter Crawl. And again, just the intro of this does remind me of a few of those bands that we've already spoken about. But again, Andy really shines here. Don't need you to love me, don't need you to care. We are heading for damnation, meet you over there. Wow, that really hits, and coupled with the music behind it, it's one of the standout tracks for me.
Yeah, and you take the album too. That there, we had already chosen 10 songs, and I actually pushed to get that song on I really wanted that song on the album. And I remember that day when we agreed on the 10, I kind of said, guys, I know we agreed on 10, I just want that extra one on there. And it was Gutter Crawl. And within a minute, the guy said, not a worry. And we got cracking on that. But I remember, for me, the highlight on that is the vocals and obviously the guitar, but what Simon does on the bass. That intro with the bass kind of sets the scene for that song. It's just a thickness, it's got a groove to it, and major kudos to Simon on that, because that, for me as a drummer, playing to that it's heaven for a drummer.
How important is the relationship between the drummer and the bass player for such a an album like this?
Huge. Yeah. For me, writing with Sal, I'm always used to just listen to guitar, because at the beginning it's just us two. But obviously, the drummer's locking with the bass. So for me to see and hear what Simon has placed on it, playing live to that, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to is just being on stage and hearing that bass kind of rumbling on in the live setting. So extremely important. And for me, I think he's probably hasn't received the kudos that he really deserves, Simon, on this, because there's a lot of tracks where he's kind of walking, and the thickness that he adds in the groove, it's
definitely
right. And for a drummer, that's all you want. That's exactly what you asked for.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing Simon play this when we get to see a gig. We then move over to Slave. This was a really strong intro from the band as well, but all of a sudden the song just pops out of the stereo, like boom. Amazing track.
Thanks.
Thank you. I can't. You might, if you can remember this, Sal. I can't remember. I know there's a video of writing it.
Yeah. Look, as far as the main riff, I think we kind of had this Dr. Feelgood kind of feel that we were kind of thinking about in that when that kicks in. I mean, the intro was just kind of something that, again, I think it's these things that are always like little bits that are in betweens that you kind of just sort of, I talk about like almost like doodling or noodling, where you're kind of just mucking around with this stuff, and it just kind of, you keep repeating it over and over again. And I kind of had that intro kind of, and then we kind of built it from there. But I do remember talking about, that Dr. Feelgood kind of, I think even in the solo, it's kind of got a bit of a Dr. Feelgood bit in it. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. And again, Andy's just kicking it with some great lyrics there. So yeah, another one of my favourites. So it's kind of our best of, isn't it, Jason and Sal? They're all our favourites.
Oh, and look, whilst I've spoken about some of these tracks being standouts, all of them are standouts, really. It's just such a beautiful album, and for a debut album, it's amazing. And you finish the album then with Never Die. Like, I've got a long background in heavy metal, and it's probably one of the best metal tracks I've heard for some time, and definitely one of the best metal tracks for 2022. So a bit of a change from the rest of the album, from my perspective.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me as well, because I remember that was pretty much the final song we wrote for the album. And I remember Sal coming in, he said, I got this riff and I got this, and I remember hearing it, I'm going, where'd that come from? Because it does differ to the rest of the album. And, straight away I'm thinking Iron Maiden, Judas Priest already. So even with the drumming, you kind of channel that kind of feel to it as well. And yeah, I really enjoy playing to it. And I know a lot of people have received some really positive feedback on that track, and also being a bit different to all the other songs as well.
Yeah, interestingly, it was Tool that inspired that song, but at a much slower pace. So that main riff was kind of, it was almost a finger exercise, and it just sped up from there. And I would agree that, and I think our working title before we had lyrics was Judas Priest. That's what we named it. So we had a connection to it. And it's the only song on the album where I actually gave Andy a brief. I said, look, I've got this kind of old school riff. It's, maybe it's a little bit cheesy, but we kind of like it, but we want to add to that by maybe, and I think at the time too, people had been passing on. We'd lost Prince and we'd lost Malcolm Young, and Lemmy had died, and, all these great rockers were, leaving us. So I said, it'd be nice to have a tribute. We've got a kind of old school kind of metal kind of song here. Maybe we could, do a tribute to some old rockers or dead rockers. So that's the brief I gave him. It's the only song where I asked for something. The rest we just said, you come back to us with whatever you think. And to his credit, he went home and wrote that. And I think for us too, we wanted it to be the last song on the album to kind of finish with a bang. We were quite I suppose specific in placing it as the last song, because we really thought it was a good closer for our album.
Oh, this will go down in the annals of time as being one of the best closers of any album, period.
That's great.
Thank you.
So, guys, that's the album track by track. It's just a fantastic debut. But what's next for Cross-Eyed Lover?
Well, Sal and myself started writing the second album as of last Thursday. Really looking forward to it. Already there's some stuff which I'm already excited about. I know Sal's already excited about. I know we're catching up next week to write another couple of tunes, and already a little different to the first album. It's still rock, still hard rock, but, there's a bit of a Whitesnake feel. It's still got that 80s, it's still a bit of 80s, bit of modern, but, and this is really early on. It may turn into something completely different, but early on it's kind of, got a little bit of Whitesnake feel, a little bit of Aussie. But there's some up-tempo stuff. There's some 6/8 kind of laid back. It's still heavy, it's still bluesy, and got that heaviness to it. So a little different to the first, but it's still going to be up-tempo and punchy like the first album.
Okay. How has the songwriting differed this time around? has it changed at all, or are you sticking to the same formula that's worked well for you?
I will change slightly, but mainly the same. I think we kind of like, I think, our motto was we're going to get to the rehearsal room. We're going to get a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was our sort of plan. So we kind of don't overthink it too much, and we like that. We kind of like having that pressure. It kind of gets the results. But I think the only thing that'll be slightly different is that I think with the first one, it was really driven a lot by Jason and I initially, and maybe it is at the moment, but there's probably more of an organic process this time around where we'll do some writing with Simon there and with Andy there as a band, more than maybe it sort of kind of started as a recording project maybe with the first album. So I think, and that's what might give it a slightly different flavour, because again, when it's Jason and I, we're kind of thinking, well, what might the bass do here, or what might the vocal line be, because they weren't actually there. And so this time around, they'll probably have a bit more input, and so that might give it a slightly different flavour. But we're kind of sticking. This is the music we love, so we're not going full acoustic or folk anytime soon. But it'll be a slightly different flavour this time around.
Millions of fans across the world have just breathed a sigh of relief there. Thanks, Sal. That's awesome. How about going out and promoting the album? Where can we come and see you play live?
Yeah, look, we're thinking probably October, November is when we're planning. So we're kind of, not the whole time, but COVID's kind of put a bit of a halt on things. And we've got everyone's doing different projects. We've got other stuff going on too. So sometimes it's hard getting everyone together. But October, November is when we're looking, and playing live is really, we're itching to play this live. I think that's going to be the proof in the pudding. And we want to back up our really good album with a good live show. So we're planning and making a big effort with that. So potentially late October, early November, and I'd say within the next 2 to 4 weeks, we'll settle on a date. So we'll make sure that we put that out there, and we want people to come along. I think it'll be a great live show.
Would really look forward to seeing that. How about a date for the new album? When can we expect to see that?
We're really, really early in the process, but
look, I'm keen.
Yeah.
Well, the first album, because of COVID, etc., went over maybe a 2.5, 3 year kind of span. But hopefully next year, hopefully this time next year, we can be here again and talk about the second album. Ideally, I would love it to be out, within the year or within a year. But we'll see.
And we might release a couple of new songs too, because we want to maybe play a couple of new ones with our live show. So we'll definitely there'll be a taste of something new this year for sure. As far as the whole album, probably will take us another 6 to 12 months, but there'll be some new music out this year for sure.
That's awesome. Really looking forward to both the new album maybe next year and the live gigs later on this year as well. Guys, you've been in the industry for a while now. You've just recorded your debut album. Your second's coming along perfectly. What's the best advice that you can give to new starters to the industry?
I think we're proof that you never give up, and if you enjoy something, just have fun with it. Like don't put too many boundaries around even your styles. If whatever comes out creatively, the creative process is really amazing. You just don't know. And I think for us, I think that was really helpful for us, is that we didn't try and, although this is what it's turned out, we did actually pigeonhole our music to say, well, this is how we want to play. Whatever just came out on the night is what we kind of went with. So I would say, don't restrict yourself to stuff. Just go for it. And maybe, from a recording perspective, if you can do quite a bit of preparation up front around those kinds of things, will save you a lot of time when you're in the studio if you're paying for that time. Some of this stuff I kind of had to do while I was in there, and it probably took me a bit longer than what it could have. So that would be the other thing I would say, but mainly just have fun with it. And, you're never too old to do this stuff. This stuff we really enjoy. So just go for it. And
write to satisfy yourself. Don't think about anyone else.
Yeah.
We didn't think about anyone else when writing it. This was to make us happy. This was like kind of satisfying and making us happy. And you know, when we released the album, we were happy with it. If, you know, if we didn't receive any feedback or anything from it, we would have been okay with that, because our goal was to just write an album, and we were happy with what we came up with. So don't think about what other people may think. Write what makes you happy and what feels right to you. And it's never wrong anyway. Like if you like the music that you've written, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It matters what you feel, and if you're happy with it, that's what matters.
Preparation, remove boundaries, and be happy. I think that's good advice for every walk of life. Our music industry as well. That's really good to hear. The importance of social media to promote the great work that you're doing. Jason, how important is the use of social media to the success of this album?
Well, you know, for our band, no one really knew what we were doing. No one knew who we were. So we're not real social media people. So we kind of jumped on it pretty quickly to try and get out there and see what people wanted. But we noticed pretty early on, especially when we released the album, the more stuff you put out there, and people want to see content that they can relate to or see, like, you know, videos, even if it's just little 30-second videos, they watch and they kind of engage in that. And I mean, it's still a learning curve for us as well, what people want to see, but obviously keeping people up to date, if it's going into the studio, if it's, you know, a 30-second clip of playing drums or whatever, to engage with people. I mean, I think, you know, that's, I think, is what they want to see. And obviously just keeping them updated on what we're doing. And obviously, we've tried to keep, you know, a certain weekly update, or every couple of weeks, keeping them updated. If it's a review, if it's if it's we're in the studio, or if it's you know, a throwback picture, just keeping that kind of engagement with people out there. But definitely, you get the likes, and you definitely get the feedback from people on that. So it is definitely important to get out there and to get people to know who you are and what you do.
And it's got global reach, you know, so you get to take in with, you know, through technology, people in Spain, people in Italy, that, you know, in years gone by, you may not have had the opportunity to do that. Whereas now, you know, that social media plays a really important role in sharing your art, really. So it's been great.
Definitely. Well, guys, that's been a really great insight into your upcoming plans, your fantastic debut. I really appreciate your time, and on behalf of Rockhouse Mag, I really hope you guys have greater success, because this is a killer album. For all of the fans out there, you can find it on all streaming devices. You've got a couple of clips there on YouTube. Just fantastic. I really do wish you guys the best. For your fans out there, are there any final words before we leave this interview tonight?
Just look out for our live show, because we really want to get a great crowd there, and we want to, you know, we're going to give it 110%. So we're going to, you know, our goal at the moment is to really put on a great show for you guys. So keep an eye out for that, and we look forward to meeting you all in real time, real people, all in one room. Sharing a love of good rock. So that's my message.
Look forward to it. Jason, how about you?
Yeah, and just thank you for the support, and we've got some great feedback from you know, people here, people overseas, and obviously makes us feel good as well when you receive that positive feedback, and it's genuine as well. So thank you. And you know, like Sal said, we're just itching to get out there and play and see what the reaction's definitely going to be from a live setting as well, with you know, how that translates as well. So we're really looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Again, guys, on behalf of Rockhouse Mag, thank you so much, and best of luck with the album.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Great talking to you.
Thanks, team.
Awesome.